We are going to focus now on how structure relates or leads to function in case of the organelles. This is a common theme in biology, like how the structure supports the function. So this is one example for that. Now, we talked about the different organelles briefly in the previous video, and let's focus on the endoplasmic reticulum that provides, this is the pink organelles. They provide mechanical support and they carry out protein synthesis with their ribosomes on its surface, the rough endoplasmic reticulum, and they play a role in the intracellular transport of the proteins. On the other hand, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum does not have ribosomes, so it does not deal with protein synthesis at all, so more like lipid synthesis, detoxification, and calcium storage. The mitochondrial double membrane, so I just drew the mitochondrion here for you. It has double membranes, and the double membrane provides compartments for different metabolic reactions. The metabolic reactions, chemical reactions, are separated inside of the mitochondrion, and it's really, really good. Later on, you will see. The lysosomes, they were the dark green ones. They contain hydrolytic enzymes. Think back, the word hydrolysis means lysing the water, so splitting the water, and with that they are going to just break down the macromolecules, the big molecules, into their monomers. This is really important in intracellular digestion, recycling of cell organic materials, as well as I mentioned before, for apoptosis, that means a programmed cell death for the cell, for whatever reason, because of viral infection or because it became cancerous and the cell still doesn't want to infect the other cells in the organism, so it will just die itself. The vacuoles, this was the blue circle that has many roles, including storage and release of macromolecules and cellular waste products. In plants, it aids to retain water for turgor pressure, as well as storing pigments, toxins, and these kind of stuff. Now, let's talk about the structural features of cell organelles that allow the organisms to capture, store, and use energy. And these are going to be the chloroplasts, and the mitochondrion. Now, let's talk about the chloroplast first. They have folded inner membranes that increase the surface area, which allows for more ATP production for the cell. Now, we have the thylakoids inside. These are kind of stacked coins on top of each other. And we have the stroma. The thylakoids are organized into stacks, and they are called grana. Granum first, or grana, many of them. Inside of the membrane of the grana are embedded the chlorophyll pigments, and as well as the electro transport chain proteins that make the contain the photosystem. They play a role in harvesting of energy and to form ATP. We will learn about that in Unit 3. So these are the two things that they are incorporated in the thylakoid membrane. The light-dependent reaction happens in the grana, in the thylakoids, and inside of the thylakoid in that area. Okay? And the stroma hosts the light-independent reaction that does not require light, this chemical reaction, to happen. The mitochondrion has two membranes, the outer membrane in here, this is the outer, this is still a phospholipid bilayer, by the way, and the inner membrane with its folds. And we distinguish between the matrix, it's inside of the second membrane, and the intermembrane space between the outer and the inner membrane. The electrotransport chain, ETC, is and its proteins are embedded in the inner membrane, and it will be important later on in energy harvesting process, Unit 3. Now let's review a little bit through a AP question the organelles. So how can you use the information what we talked about that in here? So let's say the cell is given and the scientists measure the amount of smooth endoplasmic, rough endoplasmic, mitochondrial, cilia, and Golgi in the cell. Cilia is the long tail for the cell for motion. So they found that cell X, where they have small, large, and positive for cilia and small amount of Golgi, as well as for the Y and the Z, and they want to just know what does the cell do. Now, how can we support that? How are we going to think? This cell, this X, because it has large amount of mitochondrion, so probably it requires tons of energy, so it will produce energy, and it's probably because it has a cilia for the motion. The cell Y, on the other hand, has large amount of smooth endoplasmic, rough endoplasmic, and Golgi apparatus. That means it probably exports protein or deals with lipid synthesis or detoxification on its way. Now, what usually gives hard time for students is cell Z that doesn't have any of them. Well, we can say that this cell is actually dead cell, so it's not going to do anything anymore. It will be in equilibrium with its surroundings, no more homeostasis. And basically that's it for 2.2. Have a good day.